It only takes one major disaster to remind us how fragile life is and our systems are. Recent earthquakes in California have done just that for many people. Life can change in a flash, and all too often it does. When emergencies strike, are you prepared for the days without electricity and stores being damaged or closed? Well, if not, today's a good day to make a plan and prepare for those disasters. I've done this myself, and I started with building a food storage plan. I trust and use My Patriot Supply, and I think you should too. This month, they're running a sale price for a 2-week emergency food kit on my special website, preparewithredpill78.com. You can save 40% when you click the link in the description below and order it today. It gets shipped discreetly to your home. These 2-week emergency food kits include breakfast, lunches, dinners, and they last up to 25 years in storage. Preparing for emergencies with My Patriot Supply is the smart thing to do, and if you do it now, you'll save 40% at preparewithredpill78.com. That's preparewithredpill78.com. You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this is your Red Pill News. Hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Hope everyone is getting ready for the weekend. We've got some big shows coming up for you this weekend. I hope everybody has a chance to join us. On Friday night, we may have a returning guest, plus someone new. I'm going to hold back on that until I get my confirmation, but Thomas from True Reporting definitely will be joining us. If not for the whole time, then for the full second hour. I love it when Thomas comes on the show. He's such a kindred spirit, one of the best people I know, and certainly one of the best creators on YouTube. Now, first of all here, just wanted to give everybody a little update. Now, I'm sure everyone is aware that Robert Kelly was arrested on trafficking charges. He is being held, and he's being held without bail. Hopefully, this bodes well for the case that we are looking at in New York with regards to our friend, I'm going to use that term very lightly, Jeffrey, last name Epstein. Now, this man, Robert, is going to have to stay in jail until he awaits trial and he's brought before the court for justice. I think we all know how this is going to go. The feds have been gunning for this man for quite a long time, and it took the presidency and the administration of Donald Trump to bring him in to justice. So keep your eyes on this one, guys. Also, this is a great clip that our friend and fellow researcher Methods got from CNN. It details some women here who were questioned about President Trump's tweets in regards to the squad, telling them that if they don't like America, they can head back to whatever country they came from, fix that place, and then come back and tell us how we're supposed to do it here. Of course, this is a rhetorical thing because they are not going to answer him and say that yes, they'll do that. They're not going to go back to their original countries. Their design is to stay here in America and destroy it from within. I think we all are very, very aware of that. But let's go ahead and take a listen to Middle America and how they feel about President Trump and his remarks, and then about the squad. And we'll get back and talk a little bit more about it when we're done.
I'm glad that the president said what he said, because all they're doing is they're inciting hatred and division, and that's not what our country's about. It's not about that at all. And
isn't that what the president does with some of his own comments? His own racist comments?
But he didn't say anything about color.
We know the president is not racist. He loves people from, Hispanics to black people, all across the board.
Let me just share with you the definition of racism from Merriam-Webster Dictionary. A belief that race is the primary determinant of human traits and capacities, and that racial differences produce an inherent superiority of a particular race. Based on that definition, do you not think what the president has been saying to these
No,
people?
he dated a black woman for 2 years. 2 of his wives are immigrants. He is not a xenophobic racist.
The first black billionaire is endorsing President Trump.
Yeah.
How can you call him racist?
So these congresswomen who said they ran for Congress, ran for office because they explicitly love this country, you're saying that's a lie.
So yes.
That is a lie. You're saying they hate this country.
Yes.
Whoever wrote these questions up, it's clearly that they're very manipulative to accuse instead of extracting the truth.
It's a tactic.
Because when you say, don't you think he's racist? You're accusing us. You're accusing him.
I'm not accusing. I'm asking you what
But
you
you've
think.
been told. It's irrelevant. It has nothing to do with the real issue. It has nothing to do with the premise of the issues here.
Exactly.
Nothing.
And whenever
It's
someone...
The color of the fort.
Why do you keep bringing it up?
Do you think it's just a coincidence that these 4 congresswomen that the president is going after, none of them are white?
Yes,
They're going after
Congress.
him.
Ideology.
I don't think it matters.
Yeah.
It's idiotic
Well, and also
what they're
another-
saying. So it doesn't matter whether they're white, man, woman, brown, yellow, anything.
I wish that there was a white one that why are they not racist? How come they haven't befriended one of their white female congresswoman colleagues and let her join
Because
them?
they won't.
That's a good point.
They don't like white people. Come on. They're racist.
How many of you still plan to vote for President Trump?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Is America awake or what? It is definitely no coincidence that CNN chose this particular panel of women. I think that they probably wanted to paint white female Trump supporters as racist themselves. But this woman wasn't asking the question. She was telling these people how they should feel. Don't you think that President Trump is a racist? Oh, no, of course he's not a racist. He didn't say anything racist. He didn't even mention race or anything else. He was talking about people who emigrated to the United States and who gained citizenship and now want to attack it. And he was telling them that if they don't like America and they don't like the way we do things here, they don't like the system that we have set up, they want to set up a socialist or a communist system, they can go back to their own country of origins where things have not worked out so well. They wouldn't be here if the country that they came from was so wonderful and if socialism and communism was a great idea for the people, because it's not a good idea for the people. I love these women. I am so excited that CNN had this panel because this right here is exactly the way that America feels. The Squad have extremely low polling numbers. Let me tell you what President Trump did. President Trump took the news cycle and turned it the exact direction that he wanted it to go. Nancy Pelosi and the Squad had previously been arguing. There was a fracture in the Democratic Party, and they couldn't do anything, and they could not wait to get rid of these women. They absolutely dislike them with every fiber of their being, and it has nothing to do with race. It has everything to do with their tactics, with their narcissism, with their idiocy and their lack of education with regard to the issues. So what President Trump did is he responded to them and he started a firestorm. Of course, the press reacted in this way. Of course, they called him the R word and they tried to spin it to make it sound like he is a terrible person. But more importantly, what he did is he forced Nancy Pelosi and the Democratic Party to rally behind these extremely unpopular Democratic figures. People that many of their own constituents do not care for. So now, rather than fighting, rather than being at each other's throats in the mainstream media, they are now being held aloft as the paragons of virtue within the Democratic Party. And President Trump is talking about it on Twitter. He is talking about how horrible they are. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of those tweets. All right, there are so many tweets related to this very issue, but right here, we will never be a socialist or communist country. If you are not happy here, you can leave. It is your choice and your choice alone. This is about love for America. Certain people hate our country. They are anti-Israel, pro-Al-Qaeda, and comment on the 9/11 attack. Some people did something. That was what Ilhan Omar said. Radical left Democrats want open borders, which means drugs, crimes, human trafficking, and much more. Detention centers are not concentration camps. America has never been stronger than it is now. Rebuilt military, highest stock market ever, lowest unemployment, and more people working than ever before. Keep America great. Now you tell me, folks, because I know that my viewers have brains and they can sort this wheat from the chaff. What exactly did President Trump say within these tweets that were racist? Absolutely nothing, and we all know it. There wasn't a single mention of race, creed, or color. There is only a mention of going back to the country that you originally came from, because as an American, that is your right. You have the right to return to your country of origin. We have freedom of movement here in America, and if you don't like where you're at, if you don't like your neighborhood, if you don't like your state, if you don't like your country, you can leave. Now, it says the Dems were trying to distance themselves from the four progressives, but now they are forced to embrace them. That means they are endorsing socialism, hate of Israel, and the USA. Not good for Democrats. This is exactly what Trump wanted to do. Look at this. And then the Obama administration built the cages, not the Trump administration. Democrats must give us the votes to change bad immigration laws, but they won't, because they are using this as a false argument, trying to pin it all on President Trump, when clearly it was not. It was this right here. Make America great again. Always. That is what we are doing here. Another one about it. The Democrat congressmen have been spewing some of the most vile, hateful, and disgusting things ever said by a politician in the House or Senate. And yet they get a free pass and a big embrace from the Democratic Party. Horrible, anti-Israel, anti-USA, pro-terror, and public shouting of the F word, among many other things, and the petrified Dems run for the hills. Why isn't the House voting to rebuke the filthy and hate-laced things they have said? Because they are the radical left, and the Democrats are afraid to take them on. Sad. So sad. Now, a couple more of these. If you come after the president, the country, the flag, he's going to defend himself. What the squad doesn't like is that Donald Trump is enforcing the very laws that are on the books that were put there by Congress. This was said by Jason Chaffetz. Also, by Jason's great book, Power Grab. Our country is free, beautiful, and very successful. If you hate our country, or if you are not happy here, you can leave. This is President Trump's original point. And here he comments directly on the tweets. Those tweets were not racist. I don't have a racist bone in my body. The so-called vote to be taken is a Democrat con game. Republicans should not show weakness and fall into their trap. This should be a vote on the filthy language, statements, and lies told by the Democrat congresswomen, who I truly believe, based on their actions, hate our country. Get a list of the horrible things they have said. Omar is polling at 8%. Cortez at 21%. Nancy Pelosi tried to push them away, but now they are forever wedded to the Democrat Party. See you in 2020. Once again, this is what President Trump wanted to do. By tying these women, the squad, to the Democratic Party firmly and making them integrated and part of it, and forcing the Democrats to defend them and go after President Trump, he is assuring his victory in 2020. Not that it wasn't already going to be a landslide anyways, but this, oh Lord, this is really going to do it, because he's right. They have extremely, extremely low polling numbers. Now, what the Democrats did is they wanted to force a vote to censure the president based on his statements, which are at their heart pro-American, okay? They are pro-American and they are anti-communist. But the Democrats, by voting for it, will be voting to uphold the squad, these communist and socialist leaders in the Democratic far-left party. It is incredible, and they can't see it. They have absolutely no idea. Now, voting on that censure, so great to see how unified the Republican Party was on today's vote concerning statements I made about 4 Democrat congresswomen. If you really want to see statements, look at the horrible things they said about our country, Israel, and much more. They are now the top, most visible members of the House Democrats, who are now wedded to this bitterness and hate. The Republican vote was 187-4. Wow. Also, this was the first time since 1984 that the Speaker of the House was ruled out of order and broke the rules of the House. What a day. What a day. What a day. He says, again, in America, if you hate our country, you are free to leave. The simple fact of the matter is the 4 congresswomen think that America is wicked in its origins. They think that America is even more wicked now, that we are all racist and evil. They're entitled to their opinion. They're Americans. Now, I'm entitled to my opinion, and I just think they're left-wing cranks. They're the reason there are directions on a shampoo bottle, and we should ignore them. The squad has moved the Democratic Party substantially left, and they are destroying the Democrat Party. party. I'm appalled that so many of our presidential candidates are falling all over themselves to try to agree with the 4 horsewomen of the apocalypse. I'm entitled to say that they are whack jobs. And that was a quote from Louisiana Senator John Kennedy. All right, so now we're going to look at an article from the Gateway Pundit discussing that vote yesterday and the fact that Nancy Pelosi broke the rules of the House. Now, this was just an incredible spectacle to watch yesterday because there was a fight on the floor yesterday. Pelosi spoke in favor of condemning President Trump and his quote-unquote racist tweets, but GOP Rep. Doug Collins challenged her in a stunning rebuke. Republican Congressman Doug Collins challenged Speaker Nancy Pelosi on Tuesday as she spoke in favor of condemning Trump's racist tweets from the House floor. Representative Doug Collins demanded that Pelosi's remarks be taken down in an extraordinary rebuke of the House Speaker on Tuesday afternoon. Representative Collins' challenge to Pelosi was bold and was the first of its kind in decades. His rebuke of the Speaker could actually result in Pelosi being barred from speaking on the House floor for the rest of the day. There is no place anywhere for the president's words, which are not only divisive but dangerous and have legitimized and increased fear and hatred of new Americans and people of color, Pelosi said. It's so sad because you would think that there would be a given that we would universally in this body just say, of course, of course. There's no excuse for any reason to those words but a swift and strong unified condemnation. Every single member of this institution, Democrat and Republican, should join us in condemning the president's racist tweets. To do anything less would be a shocking rejection of our values and a shameful abdication of our oath of office to protect the American people. I urge a unanimous vote and yield back the balance of my time, Pelosi added. Congressman Collins stood up and asked if Speaker Pelosi wanted to rephrase that comment. She said, "I have cleared my remarks with the parliamentarian before I read them," Pelosi retorted as she walked away from the lectern. "Can I ask the words to be taken down? I make a point of order that the gentlewoman's words are unparliamentary and be taken down," Representative Collins said. Collins once again asked if to strike Pelosi's comments, and Speaker Pelosi then left the House floor, which is another violation of House rules against themselves when someone's words are taken down, Fox News reporter Chad Pergram said. Pergram also mentioned that things have gotten really weird on the House floor. Representative Emanuel Cleaver was presiding over the House, and then he told the House he was trying to make a fair ruling about Pelosi, but people weren't cooperating, so Cleaver then just said, "I abandoned the chair," and left. Okay, let's go ahead and watch.
Every single member of this institution, Democratic and Republican, should join us in condemning the president's racist tweets. To do anything less would be a shocking rejection of our values and a shameful abdication of our oath of office to protect the American people. I urge a unanimous vote and yield back the balance of my
I was just going to give the General Speaker of the House if she would like to rephrase that comment.
I have cleared my remarks with the parliamentarian before I read them.
And take it. And I ask the words be taken down. I make a point of order the gentlewoman's words are unparliamentary and ready to be taken down.
The chair will remind all members, please do not make comments toward personality-based comments.
What is going on? You know, it is just insane to see what is happening here. I don't understand why this guy is presiding. I don't understand why Pelosi is breaking the rules. Clearly, I think she's panicking. I think that she was made to feel forced to have to, hold up these women and have to defend them. And I think maybe she's getting a slight idea of what President Trump is doing here. Or maybe she's completely ignorant to the whole thing. But either way, they voted to strike her comments, but they also voted to allow her to continue to speak. So kind of a stalemate there. But basically, the vote to rebuke the president and censure his comments, or however they want to phrase it, it failed. It failed miserably, and they were not able to get it done. Just got a couple of awesome posts from my Discord server here. This one was from my good friend Hulkinator at Patriot News. This was found on the board, and it is clearly Lady Gaga with all of these ex-presidents. Now, I think it's arguable we can say that these ex-presidents have varying levels of criminal culpability in the cabal and their actions and what they've been doing. And this person says, "Holy crap, Gaga lovers. It ain't Bradley Cooper." Remember, President Trump put out that tweet the other day, and he mentioned Gaga lovers. So, it sounds to me like it was a covert nod to all of these ex-presidents and future criminal actors. And here we have Sheila Jackson Lee. She was tweeting out about Bowser, the official press puppy of our office. Now, we also know that the cabal has a tendency to tweet about dogs when something is going to be happening, like somebody's going to be dying. Well, if you'll remember, the mayor of D.C. is, I believe her name is Muriel Bowser. So I think we should probably keep an eye on her and see how she's doing in the weeks to come. Now, here is a screenshot that Hulkinator sent over from President Trump's press conference very recently. And the person who took the screenshot always watches with the closed captioning on. Well, this is at the end of the conference. No one was talking, and the word red rum comes up on the screen. Now, I'm sure everyone remembers from The Shining, red rum is murder spelled backwards. Think mirror. You wouldn't see this unless you were looking in a mirror, and it would spell murder. Very, very strange. But I think, again, it's something targeted at President Trump. All right, and today, looks like Dan Scavino published this. If you guys will remember, this is the fire truck with the Q-74 on the side carrying that flag, and this was from when some hostages were brought home. And here is the actual post where that picture was shown. This is actually a different picture than the one that was posted. But remember from this post, this is Q74. Fellow patriots, what you are about to learn should not only scare you, but intensify your resolve to take back control, freedom. The information that will become public will further demonstrate the criminal and corrupt, pure evil abuse of power that the Hussein administration undertook in joint efforts with domestic and foreign dignitaries. The snowball has begun rolling. There is no stopping it now. D5. Stay the course and trust the plan. Protective measures are in place. Remain brave. We knew this day would come. United we stand worldwide. Where we go one, we go all. We fight conspiracy no more. Guys, I think we are in the end times as far as this revelation is concerned. Things are coming, and they cannot stop them. People will know exactly what is going on, and it's going to be an avalanche, most certainly. There you go. Take a look at that. Q74. This was posted much later, but it took us back to the 74th post by our favorite Anon. All right, and next, in an article sent over by my good friend Methods, boom week indeed. The FBI and Italian police have targeted the Gambino and Inzerillo Mafia in Sicily, and there were many arrests. A 200-strong force of FBI and Italian police targeted the New York Gambino family and the Sicilian Inzerillo Mafia during dawn raids this morning in Sicily and the U.S. 18 suspected gangsters were arrested in Palermo, including Salvatore Gambino, the mayor of the Sicilian town of Toretta, while another was detained in New York. The crackdown comes as police say the Inzerillo clan are seeking to reestablish their old power base in Sicily with the backing of their Gambino allies in New York. Now, two of those arrested, Francesco and Tommaso Inzerillo, are the brother and cousin, respectively, of Salvatore Tuccio Inzerillo, a Don who was murdered in a vicious war in the 1980s, forcing his family into self-imposed exile in the U.S. Among those arrested was Thomas Gambino, considered by the FBI to be a key player. During their investigation, they said they secretly filmed Gambino holding that covert meeting on the dinghy in Palermo last summer. The suspects are accused of mafia association, aggravated extortion, and fraud while operating wholesale food supplies and gambling dens, as it was reported. The investigation was dubbed New Connection, and it has registered the strong bond connected between Cosa Nostra Palermo and U.S. organized crime, with particular reference to the powerful Gambino crime family of New York. The Gambino crime operation is one of 5 historic Italian-American mafia families in New York. Past charges against family operatives have included murder, loan sharking, and illegal drug distribution. The boss of the family, his name is Francesco Frankie Boy Cali, was gunned down in front of his Staten Island home in March. It was not clear if his murder had anything to do with tensions in Sicily. I'm sure you guys will remember this. This was done by a younger person, and when that man was brought into court, he had lots of things written on his hand trying to tie him to our movement.
He exits his residence, has a conversation with an individual where approximately 12 shots are fired, with at least 6 striking the victim, causing his demise. We have executed a warrant at that residence. We have obtained video surveillance from that scene. There is reports of a car pulling away. That is accurate. Mr. Calley was home at his residence. Again, it was shortly after 9 p.m. Our understanding is that he was home with his members of his family. I won't go into individual members. He exits his house. There's a conversation, and it's a little preliminary, and there is video accounts of what took place. I won't get too deep into it. But whether it was an altercation or a conversation, that remains to be seen. But he has a conversation with an individual in front of that residence, and that individual at some point in time, it's only about a minute into it, pulls out a firearm and shots are fired. Whether he had prior knowledge that somebody would be out there, did he expect somebody to be out there? We know that there was a vehicle accident in front of the residence. We believe that the victim's car was struck, and that's part of the investigation as we move forward. Rocco? I'm sorry, Rocco first, and then...
When was the accident? Are you suggesting it was an accident staged to get him out of the house?
It appears, with what we know at this point in time, that was part of, quite possible that was part of a plan.
That brings him outside as opposed to someone going in there?
Not definitive at this point, but he certainly is involved, his car is involved in an accident with the individual that winds up shooting him. So that's... His car is parked. That's not to say that he didn't know this person beforehand or not. So don't read too far into that. It's a little preliminary.
All right, so that was the murder of Francesco Frankie Boy Calley. And that is a picture of him right there. It looks like he was the first mob boss to be hit since John Gotti arranged the assassination of the then head of the Gambino crime family, Paul Castellano. That was in 1985. And right here from our friend and fellow researcher Methods, friendly reminder, Hillary Clinton met with a Mafia heir who asked for his drug kingpin father to be released early from prison in exchange for votes. This is while she was campaigning in the presidential primary in 2007. Now, it's not just Hillary. Looks like he also met with Bill. This is Giovanni Gambino, the son of Francesco Gambino and the cousin of Carlo Gambino. So this ties in directly to the raid that took place in New York and took place in Palermo this morning. Will we see arrests taking place of higher level individuals? Probably not directly related to this, unless there is incontrovertible evidence that is found in the possession of these guys. We all know that the Mafia tends to not talk, or when they do talk, it's because they're looking at like 20 life sentences, and they're looking to get out and maybe go into witness protection. But it is very possible that Hillary and Bill have some really, really direct ties to the Gambino crime family. Otherwise, I don't see why the son of one of the heirs of the Gambino crime family would be going to meet with her and Bill in exchange for votes. All right, and here from the Daily Caller, good news for President Trump, his foundation, and his campaign. A judge has said that the SDNY has ended the Trump campaign finance probe and has ordered Michael Cohen's records to be unsealed. A federal judge Wednesday confirmed federal prosecutors in New York City ended their investigation into Trump campaign finance violations, which focused on former Trump attorney Michael Cohen and the Trump Organization. Judge William Hawley confirmed the end of the probe in an order to release the remaining files in the case against Michael Cohen, the former Trump attorney who is serving 3 years in prison for several crimes. The end of the investigation indicates that no additional Trump Organization executives, a group that includes Donald Trump Jr., will be charged in the investigation, which was led by attorneys in the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Southern District of New York. CNN reported earlier in July that prosecutors were winding down their investigation and were planning not to charge anyone else in the investigation. Pauley's orders Wednesday confirmed the reporting. The government now represents that it has concluded the aspects of its investigation that justified the continued sealing of the portions of the materials relating to Michael Cohen's campaign finance violations, said Pauley, adding that weighty public ramifications of the activity activities described in the materials related to the campaign finance investigation warrants public disclosure. Pauley had previously released some materials from the case, but withheld other documents at the request of federal prosecutors, who said that they were still investigating the Trump organization's role in campaign finance violations. The new order covers search warrants and materials related to the campaign finance portion of the Cohen investigation, as well as a status report submitted by the government in July. The documents will be unsealed Thursday morning, Pauley said. Cohen pled guilty August 21, 2018 to tax evasion, bank fraud, and campaign finance violations stemming from a $130,000 payment he made to Stormy Daniels, the adult star who claims she had an affair with Donald Trump in 2006. Prosecutors were investigating whether any other Trump Organization executives violated campaign finance law by repaying Cohen for his out-of-pocket expense. Cohen was reimbursed $420,000 by Trump Organization executives as well as Trump himself. Pauley ordered some search warrant materials released March 19th. On May 21st, he sided with the government's request to keep additional records under seal, indicating the investigation was still ongoing. Well, the investigation into Cohen kicked into the Southern District of New York by the special counsel's office, and the FBI raided Cohen's home, his office, and his hotel room on April 9th, 2018. He pled guilty in the Southern District of New York on August 21st, 2018, and in the special counsel's probe on November 29th, 2018. He admitted in the special counsel's investigation to making false statements to Congress in 2017 about the extent of his efforts to build a Trump Tower in Moscow. It is insane. Michael Cohen lying about lying about lying. We know that you can't believe a single thing that comes out of Michael Cohen's mouth, not least of all anything related to the Trump team or the Trump campaign or the Trump organization. Anything that Michael Cohen says is suspect because he was looking to get less jail time, but the government still got him. He is a Benedict Arnold, and I do not like Michael Cohen. Just a real rat-faced punk. This is great news, though, for the Trump team and for the Trump organization. It looks like everything is going to be good, and it just goes to show, with the investigation into the Clinton Foundation having not finished up yet, I think that we can say that there definitely is something happening there. Otherwise, they would have gotten their investigation done with and over with, and they would have already been cleared. Not so for the Trump team. They have been cleared. So what does that tell you? President Trump is just as honest as the day is long. All right, some brief news from my friend Matt Couch over at the DC Patriot. Do you guys remember that tape that I played for you? Seymour Hersh talking about Seth Rich being the source for the WikiLeaks DNC leaks. Well, it was actually Andrew McCabe who leaked that intel, and we're finding this out from a new lawsuit that was filed on behalf of Dallas business mogul Ed Butowski, and this was filed in federal court. In the new lawsuit, Butowski claims that Pulitzer Prize-winning author Seymour Hersh told him intelligence information about the Seth Rich murder. Now that has been amplified, as Butowski says Hersh's source was none other than Deputy Director of the FBI Andrew McCabe. In the audio, which you can be found by searching Hersh right here at the DC Patriot, he goes into vivid detail about Seth Rich being the WikiLeaks source. Now, Butowski claims in a separate phone call that Hersh told him Andrew McCabe was indeed the unlikely source. When you listen to the original audio, Hersh claims that he has a guy at the FBI and his information is solid. This is yet another massive development in the fake Russian hacking story perpetrated by the Democrats. So, once again, Matt Couch and the people with his organization just bringing us incredible information related to the Seth Rich case. This is starting to break wide open, and I'd like to announce right now that Saturday night at 9 p.m., Matt Couch and potentially other members of his investigative team are going to be joining us here on the program for a conversation about everything they've dug up over the last couple years and everything that is soon to be upcoming. So make sure you turn in Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Red Pill News Saturday Night Live stream, and listen to Matt Couch and his investigative team talking about new developments in the Seth Rich case. All right, and from my friend and graphic designer, Bree, she sent this on over. The Pentagon has been ordered to tell Congress if it weaponized ticks and release them into the public. I know I have many guests who have Lyme disease, and this is specifically for you guys. Some members of the United States House are concerned the Pentagon may have unleashed disease-infested ticks that caused the spread of Lyme disease. Roll Call reports that on July 11th, the House stealthily decided via voice vote to support an amendment in the 2020 Defense Authorization Bill that would require the Department of Justice look into weaponized ticks. According to the Congress-focused newspaper, New Jersey Republican Representative Christopher Smith wrote the amendment, which demands the Inspector General shall conduct a review of whether the Department of Defense experimented with ticks and other insects regarding use as a biological weapon between the years of 1950 and 1975. Now, a disease-carrying newly infected tick to the United States, the Asian longhorn tick, that is this one right here. If the review determines that such a project took place, then the amendment reportedly insists the Inspector General must present Congress with information on the scope of the research, including whether any ticks or insects used in such experiments were released outside of any laboratory by accident or experimental design. Smith, who is a co-chairman of the Congressional Lyme Disease Caucus, told Roll Call he hopes the Inspector General will share information that sheds light on these reports and could be used to hinder the spread of Lyme disease. We need answers, and we need them now, Smith told Roll Call. For years, there have been reports and theories circulating that suggest the Department of Defense researchers at facilities like New York's Plum Island and Maryland's Fort Detrick may have infected insects for biological weapons tests and then released those insects outside of the lab, leading to the spread of Lyme disease. A book published in May, Bitten, The Secret History of Lyme Disease and Biological Weapons, has brought public attention to these notions, which may have inspired Smith to propose his amendment that is co-sponsored by Maryland Republican Andy Harris and Minnesota Democrat Colin Peterson. A review by Outside Magazine says Bitten author Chris Newby's research shared in the book rests on shaky ground and presents a lot of evidence, but no smoking gun, providing a connection between government biowarfare research and the Lyme disease outbreak. Well, that's fine, because what this amendment to the NDAA is going to do is hopefully give us that smoking gun evidence. Of course, the Pentagon has not released that yet because there's been no reason to. I personally believe that the United States government, through the Pentagon and their black budget projects into biowarfare insect-based weapons, did in fact introduce Lyme disease into the public. I know many people who are afflicted with Lyme disease and know full well the type of pain and agony that they go through on a daily basis. It is something that you can control, but it will be a lifelong syndrome that you will be afflicted with if you find yourself bitten by a tick. I personally live in an area where there are ticks, and it's very scary. If I go outside, you gotta worry about getting bit by ticks. Now, when I was a kid, that's just not something that we even worried about. You know, run around the woods, and it doesn't matter. You don't have to worry about covering everything up. Of course, you don't want to get bitten by a tick, but you weren't afraid that if you did, that you were going to spend the rest of your life dealing with doctors and people who don't believe you when you say that you're sick. That's one of the worst things about Lyme disease. You have to find a doctor who is trained in Lyme disease. Many doctors will not even talk to you or discuss this with you. They will force you to find someone who they feel or who has been certified as Lyme proficient, or however they want to phrase it. But again, my heart goes out to all of my listeners who have Lyme disease. You guys know who you are, and I hope that this action here by this Republican representative is going to finally bring us the information that we need to get to the bottom of where Lyme disease came from and who exactly was behind it. All right, folks, that is all I have for you today. I want to thank everyone for joining me. As always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this was your Red Pill News. Good luck, everyone, and God bless.